who took a few chips, I guess, and analyzed.
The real door.
This is
the original door.
It's just, even if you don't, really understand exactly, it's still cool, steep.
Okay.
And there's a low overhead, so do be careful. There's a grab bar up at the top. If you want to take a look, and then I'll come down and tell you about the story that has the possible paranormal aspect. And Danny's got a story too. Yes, and
unless it's the same story.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are. So for instance, and it wouldn't make sense really in this climate, but you would have sailcloth or canvas, and so you would make a floor cloth out of that.
Okay, so can you explain?
And you see these handmade hinges and hand carved wooden pegs that would hold the house together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, hand forged
Really
nails.
nice. It's a nice piece of history here.
This climate is very hard.
Okay.
That we hear that a lot. Yeah, it's only open right, very.
Watch your head, Crystal. I just bumped mine. Hold on, these steps are so steep. I'm glad there's a padding because I just bumped my daggum head. Oh my God. Okay, I'm not going too far. I don't like this floor. Doesn't feel very safe for my big booty. Say no more than 4 at a time up here. The steps are very sturdy, but yes, you want to get some pictures of that. Well, I'm doing a video.
I'll get closer.
Go sewing machine, a wool machine, I mean. Beds, baby carriage.
And it's quite simple, and I think probably a younger person is lower down.
They're downstairs talking about everything. I would love to do a spirit box session inside though. The ladies downstairs, so they have some stuff to tell us too.
Yeah. I'm sure that. Yeah. So it sounds like you know.
Guys, look at those fucking steps. I'm at the top. Like I'm not going much further. But this is the steps.
That Jenny was part of. I know you can't see this very well. These were her parents. This is an actual photo. Probably from about the
There's an
1880s.
actual photo over there.
So
The parents.
he was quite well to do, Captain Timothy Hill Jr., and his wife was also quite ambitious, and they had 11 children. Ginny was their youngest. You can see her picture over the bed, and also I'm pointing to this photo here on the storyboard. So, and Ginny was, by all accounts, just a lovely, sweet, charming girl. She played the organ, and she had a lovely voice, and everything was great. By the way, all 11 children wouldn't have been living together. The girls got married at 13 or 14. So that was one reason that, it's not like you had all 11 kids here at one time. And by the way, by this time, this couple had built a bigger house right next to this house. So they were living in the fancier house. Actually, this is the house. And this is the house where the story takes place that I'm about to tell you. And so Jeannie was I'm sure, quite the little princess of the family, and everybody adored her, including, unfortunately, the young 20-year-old man who worked for the Hills. His name was Tom Freeman. You can see his photograph here at the bottom of the storyboard. Yeah, and
I'll
Tom,
get a better
and
picture.
when you have a chance to see that photo, he's dressed in a very nice suit. Apparently, he was a nice guy. He was mostly probably illiterate, but he was very sweet and nice manners. And but the thing is, he fell in love with Jenny. So she's 13, he's 20. Actually, that wasn't unusual in those days. But Mom was not going to have that. And to make matters worse, Tom was living with them in the same house. So they were together all the time. And he was just, they were thrown together. So he was just totally besotted with Jenny, and he started asking her parents if he could court her, which meant basically marry her. And Mom, absolutely not. So eventually Tom left. He went, that we have a lighthouse here, of course. There were also ships just offshore called lightships. And Winter Quarter Lightship was there around Kokomo. And Tom went to work on that lightship just to get away from everything here. And he stayed, I guess he was there about 3 or 4 months. And guess who went to get him and say, please come back? Captain Hill. Because Tom was a good worker, he was their farmhand. Everybody had a little farm. And so, I always wonder, well, was he crazy? Didn't he realize? Well, he must have realized. He knew. But I guess he just was in denial. So we said, oh yeah, Tom, everything will be fine. Listen, it's no problem, just come back. Well, of course, they went right back to whatever was going on between them, which nobody really knows. And again, in those days, this is 1885 now, a man 20 and a girl almost 14 easily could be marrying. So not long after Tom came back, he showed up at the door of this house, right here, this porch. Ginny and her mom were leaving to go to downtown Chincoteague, where there was a dressmaker. And they had the means to have clothes made. I'm sure a lot of people, Chincoteague is basically a poor fishing village. There have never been a lot of people with money here, not traditionally. Anyway, but they were pretty well to do. So they're leaving to go to the dressmaker. To their surprise, Tom comes running up here and says, Miss Hill, I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you going to let me court Ginny? And what do you think she says? No. But no, and there's no point in continuing this, Tom. The answer is no, it'll always be no. And so with that, he pulled out a gun. People didn't have guns like that in those days, like a handgun, not a rifle, not a hunting. He shot Mrs. Hill twice, and then he shot Ginny twice at close range. So amazingly, they both survived. They both fell to the ground, but probably in shock, they got themselves up and ran as fast as they could to this house, which was right near the newer Hill house. And they came in here. One of Ginny's brothers and his wife lived here at that time. And someone went and got the doctor in town, and there was, one of Ginny's cousins actually had witnessed it. And so they put Mrs. Hill in the bed here, and we understand that Ginny was in a rocking chair. The doctor came, he told Captain Hill, I'm sorry, I don't think Mrs. Hill is going to survive, but Ginny, I think, is going to be okay. So we don't know where the first bullet went, but the second bullet seemed to have just grazed her neck. And so her neck was all wrapped up. And this has been described by family members who saw this. So we're not making this up. And so Ginny just was talking, again, probably in shock, just rattling on and on to her father. Never said a word against Tom, but also never revealed anything. And then after a few hours, someone knocked on one of these doors and called out, oh, Captain Hill, you don't have to worry about Tom anymore, he's dead. So he had also shot himself immediately after, unbeknownst to them, because they ran. And with that, when Ginny heard that, she literally, according to the family lore, stopped talking. And she stopped rocking back and forth. We think they took her upstairs to put her in bed, and she died the next morning, having never said another word. So, and Mrs. Hill lived 8 more years.
Wow.
So the poor doctor didn't get it quite right, but we don't have too much detail on that. By the way, the Hill family, there's still a lot of Hills here. hi guys, you can want to squeeze in or stand there if you're happy, whatever. We don't know details of that, but I sort of say the Hill family do have some additional family papers and a diary that they choose, and it's perfectly their right. They choose not to share that. So, as far as we know, nobody really knows what.
Okay, guys, I just signed the book inside. Crystal's inside signing her little piece. And this is the Timothy Hill House, or Timothy Till House, sorry, in Chincoteague, Virginia. We did a little talk with the lady, and she told us the whole story of the ghosts. It's definitely a nice little piece of property here. A little piece of history, should I say. I thought it came out pretty good. With that being said, we're just gonna go. Have a good day.